Okay, so back to my main workspace. Here's where I keep all of my inks. I have a fair number of the distress inks and just a handful of other inks. I mostly just use black, this one, and brown, this one, which I have two versions of brown. And then I have just the black, red, and green stays on. I just bought those for a project. I don't use them very often. And then I have this thing of pigment inks. I have a handful of Glimmer Mist, and I have some Distress Stickles and Distress Crackle paint. I have a handful of smooches, and those are things I don't even use. They're glossy things. I don't know what they are. These are some of the cards I made with my Cricut that I just got, and with my Gypsy. This is my new Jetmax. This top shelf is this top one is my new one, and I love these little sliding things because you can actually pull them right out. So these are all my Staedtler markers, which I'm obsessed with Staedtler markers. I was even before I was a scrapbooker. And these Lumocolor ones are awesome for writing on glossy surfaces because they don't smudge. And the fine liners are wicked, and the gel liners are really great too. So I use these a lot for journaling, but like I said, they do smudge. So got to get it right the first time. Then the other thing that I sometimes like to pull out is this one. I can keep all my foams and stuff in here. So it's nice to have these to be able to just kind of pull them out and put them right down by my surface, by my work surface. And then in this one, I just keep all of my card blanks, which I'm not really using many card blanks anymore. I make my own cards, but sometimes if I'm in a real rush, I'll grab one of those. In here I have all of my extra adhesive, like my Xyron X and some photo mount stuff and pop dots and the bigger package of the glue dots and a bunch of stuff. I don't know what that is. And then here's where I just keep a bunch of tags and envelopes and little knick-knacky tag related things. Some of them are package tags and some of them are, you know, kind of rough tags. Here's where these are just extra paint supplies, and most of my paints are in here. So I don't have many paints, but I have enough to get me by. This is where I keep all of my masks and doodling templates and everything. I just hang them right there. They're really easy to reach while I'm working. And my distress tool and a safety pin for getting the goop out of the tips of my bottles of stuff. You've seen all this, you've seen all that. This is my punch collection. Again, I don't have much room to grow, so my goal is to just not buy too many more punches because I have plenty of things to cut with. Now that I have my, ta-da, Cricut Expression and Gypsy. Anyways, then I have a bunch of little tiny punches right here on this little shelf. My slice, I keep my slice mat out now. I used to keep my slice mat underneath of the slice, and it was a bit of a hassle. I wasn't using it very much, so I decided to just keep the mat out, and I do use it a bit more often, although ta-da! Not so much anymore, but it's still handy, and I have all those cards, and so I'm making a point of not buying any Cricut, ta-da, cartridges that overlap with any of my slice. So I won't buy a baby or wedding cartridge or anything like that because I've got those on my slice. I keep my slice charging all the time, and these are just some cards I'm working on. And so I keep the cords and stuff all in here because I hate the look of cords on a table. I hate it, hate it, hate it. So this cord actually goes right into that box, and the charger is there. And then I punched a little hole in the bottom, and so the cord actually goes out through there and goes down under my table and is plugged in down there. So I go to great lengths to hide cords because I hate them. This is, my sister gave me this awesome little slice card holder, so I keep all my cards in there. Then there's my Crocodile, which I don't use as often as I thought I would, but it's still good to have when you do need it. These are my embossing powders, and way in the back is Yudi. And I just like to, the one thing I like to do is, if it doesn't have, like these ones have labels that show what color it is, but if it doesn't have a label, I actually just put it in some embossing ink and emboss the top of it so that I know what it is just with a glance. This is a really cool cutting board that my mom gave me, but I was never using it, so I brought it down here to use it for embossing things on, so I don't have to worry about my resin table getting melted or anything. These are just some things I use when I emboss. So, a little embossing marker and some brushes to brush away the stuff. These are my really cool lamps that I bought at Home Depot. I have 3 of them, and they all attach to your table, which means that they don't take up any table space or very little table space. This is a little flower pot that I use to store my Cricut books in. I still use my books quite a lot. I mean, I've only had my Cricut for a couple of weeks, and I've only had my Gypsy for a couple of days, and I'm talking about it as if I'm old school here. But I do keep my books, and I use them quite a lot for finding the images. I like looking at the book and then finding the images on the machine, so that's the way I do it. That's my little iPod Touch that I use for music. And then just little Cricut accessory things. Pull out my Cricut when I use it, but it's mostly just stays tucked back here. I hang my Cricut mats on a hook under there, and I even hang the long one, and it just kind of goes down underneath, and it shows up under there. So this is another new Jetmax that I got to keep my ta-da! Cricut cartridges in, and works in progress. And down here I just keep a bunch of Gypsy junk that came with my Gypsy. I keep my Gypsy on. I saw somebody else online do this on one of those business card holders, and what I do is I just actually keep the cord clipped onto it so that the cord doesn't, again, I'm obsessed with covering cords, so there we go, and it all looks pretty, and nobody needs to know that the cords are there. So, and that's actually the cord I was actually just using this, that's why it's still plugged in, because normally I wouldn't want to see that. I'd put that down there so I don't see it. There we go, that's better. So, sewing machine, which I now use now that it's out in the open. This is where I keep all of my chipboard letters. So let's pick R. Have a look at what I've got. So those are all my R's. What I do is every once in a while I use my Cuttlebug to cut a bunch of alphabets in black, because I like to use the Cuttlebug size letters for mini albums, and so I try to keep these stocked up. Whenever they start to get low, I will go back and cut a bunch of letters with my Cuttlebug, or I'll go to the dollar store and just buy a bunch of chipboard letters.